Okay, well, that was good.
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to episode 2 of Sportz4Dummies. My name is Joshua Merchant, joined by co-host John Merchant.
Hey everyone, how are you doing?
How are you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, very good, Joshy. Very excited.
Very excited.
And just to clarify, we've done a preview. This is actually episode 1.
Yeah, this is the proper episode 1, so that you were very right. So cheers to that.
This has been a long time in the making, a lot of procrastinating and, you know, a lot of time getting the logo right. So,
it took us a while.
So hopefully you enjoy what we've got to put on for you guys.
Awesome. So we're on the verge of the NBA season starting, tomorrow.
Starts tomorrow, mate.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
Got some big games coming up.
So we got Nuggets and Lakers, and we've got the Suns and Warriors. So KD versus Steph. So that's a good game already.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. So, who's in the team with KD at the moment?
So you got KD, Devin Booker, and they've just got Bradley Beal from the Wizards. CP3's moved on to the Warriors, which is very interesting considering all the battles he's had.
And that's their first. They're coming up against each other.
So, but the biggest thing is obviously Steph versus KD. You know, there's a big debate who's better, Steph or KD.
Yep.
It's a pretty interesting one because KD was the best player on those championships.
Yeah.
But he hasn't won anything since. And Steph has won before and after. So being interesting to see because I think both those sides will be up there in the Western Conference, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, very, very true. And who's been, in your opinion, who do you reckon is going to get up this year? Do you have a team in mind who's looking good pre-season? Is there anyone? I haven't been tracking it too hard. I've seen a few new players coming in and some swaps that have made some, game-changing
So who do I think's going to win it all this year? Okay, so we're going big already.
Yep,
okay, so I think it's hard to go past. So I've got four teams. So whatever order you want to put them in, I think it's hard to go past the Joker.
Yep.
I mean, he had 2 MVPs in a row, and
that's
last year
Nuggets for anyone who doesn't really know.
Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
It's an interesting one because he had 2 MVPs and he probably had as good as year last year. And everyone, I suppose, was saying, well, he hasn't, done anything in the finals.
Yeah.
Well, he sure as hell did. He led every team in every statistical category in the playoffs and, had one of the best playoff performances we've seen. So
he got the MVP for the finals.
He got the finals MVP, his first one. So he's an out-and-out champion now. So.
And MVP for the year, didn't he?
No, not for this year. So he won 2 in a row before.
Yep.
So he had statistically he was on track for a third.
Yep.
But there's a narrative in the NBA, of course. So he hadn't won anything. So they gave it to Embiid, who protested or campaigned for that MVP like an American president. There was 4 years of him telling everyone that he deserved the MVP. Well, they gave it to him.
He got it.
Yeah, and what did he do in the playoffs? He melted down, and Joker had an all-time run. So I've got the Nuggets there.
Yep.
Personal favourite is the Bucks. Giannis, well, he'd won 2 MVPs in a row, won his chip.
Yeah.
Disappointing the last 2 years. Not so much his fault the first year against the Celtics, Middleton being out. But then he went injured, when they went out first round to the 8th seed Heat. I kind of reckon the best player in the world is up for grabs right now. Haven't really had a best player in the world. Everyone's tried.
What about LeBron?
LeBron's done. But but this is... And when I say
I'm
done...
swearing when I say that.
Yeah, he's not done as in how good he is, but he's not the best player in the world. But everyone's been trying to, I guess...
Well, would you say Embiid's the best player in the world right now?
No, he's not.
No,
he's not. So I generally think everyone's been trying to find the next best player in the world since LeBron.
Yep.
And I think this year, Giannis and Joker, this will be the duke out. Who has the better year? Who wins the finals? I think I think out of these two will emerge as I think they're the 1 and 2 best players in the league.
Yeah.
So. The Bucks.
So Nuggets and Bucks, you reckon, will take it out, and those two will fight it out for the best.
Well, Bucks just added Lillard.
Yeah, see, that's huge. He was anyone who plays NBA 2K, he was one of my favourite players to get a 3-point. Aside from Steph Curry, you could shoot from half court and splash it in. But Lillard's going to be a great addition to their team. Have they played a full squad leading into the preseason?
So I think they've played maybe one preseason game. Haven't really too much taken an eye on that. So it'll be interesting to see how they, start off. It's an interesting one getting rid of True Holiday because he's a very heart and soul player, very good on the defensive player. So you're losing a lot of. Lillard's not a massive defender, very good defender, but his offensive weapons, it's going to add a story for the Bucks.
Yeah.
However, I think there's pressure now on Giannis and Lillard. Giannis was saying he didn't have help. Well, they've just got, one of the best point guards in the league.
Yeah.
And Lillard's been crying that, being at Portland, that he's never had help. And if he had help, he'd win a championship. So I think they're probably under the most pressure as the Milwaukee Bucks.
To win it?
I think they have to win it. There's no more excuses now.
What about LeBron's Lakers? You know how
LeBron James has been playing since I was 8 years old. It's quite incredible. A career 27, 7-7. He scored the most points. Will I call him the greatest scorer ever? I judge it a little bit differently, but he's definitely scored the most points. And he ended the Western Conference Finals against the Nuggets with a 40-point. How long is he going to play though? How many games is he going to play this year?
Well, they reckon it would be pretty cool to see it. But imagine if him and his son teamed up. I don't know what's there. It'd be amazing to see.
Bronny. So I think next year he'll be that. That's when that will.
Is
have
he
to
going
correct
into
my
the-
facts. Yeah. There's all talk about it. LeBron will definitely play.
Yeah,
In terms of longevity, he'll play. Whether they can win the championship or not, I don't think they can win it off LeBron's back anymore. He's 39.
Yeah.
It's all up to do with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is his prime.
Yeah.
In terms of power forward center, whatever you want to call him. I know he's named as a center, but he plays more like a power forward.
Yeah.
It's his chance to take over, LA as the guy, and LeBron's pretty much been saying to do it, but AD's just hasn't been consistent enough with his body and his form. So if he can get right, possibly the Lakers, but I can't see them being as the top contenders. They'll make the playoffs for sure though.
No, I can't. To be honest, I really can't see them getting up. I know, even not really tracking the preseason all that much, but hearing all the hype around the Bucks and the Nuggets and the Celtics, I just don't think that they're going to be able to compete.
Well, there's another one, the Celtics. You've got Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So Celtics, last year losing to the Heat in 7.
How are the Heat going, by the way? Are they up
So
there
the
still
Heat,
or not
so the Heat is one of the most interesting sides, in the league at the moment. So 2020, they made the finals in the bubble. Since then they made a conference final. And then they made then they made finals last year. But their regular season isn't that great. It's never that great. So they probably don't get the credit that is due.
Well, that's the main thing. It's the main part. When you get into finals, it's performing under pressure. And if they do it time and time again.
I think now, though, it's okay. They're constantly underdogs.
Yeah.
They've got to win one now.
Yeah.
And I guess having poor records, it's always a shock story when they do go deep into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But hang on, it's time now. You've been to 2 finals and 1 conference final, and you haven't got the chocolates.
No.
So can they do it again? I put them sort of that bar below the Bucks and the Celtics.
Yeah. And is there been any notable trades in the off season in the NBA, or any, I guess, new rookies that have come in that are shaking it up? Because I know I couldn't even pronounce the name of this.
Still can't.
This guy.
We'll call him Wemby.
Wemby. Give us a
is-
rundown. Anyone who doesn't understand this.
He's 7'4", can shoot the perimeter. I mean, there's videos of him crossovering guards.
He shoots threes like it's nothing.
And he's gone on. He's been recruited to arguably the best system, the Popovich system at the Spurs, who have been very lucky with centers. They've Dave Robertson in the 80s, Tim Duncan in the late 90s, both championship players, MVPs. I mean, Tim Duncan's the greatest power forward of all time.
Yep.
And then you've got Wemby, 7'4", and can move. So
he'll be he's a rookie, isn't he? He's first year. He'll come in. That'll be rookie of the year without a doubt. I'd be very shocked unless his body doesn't perform.
And that's what everyone's talking about. But you see just the preseason games, he just looks a little bit better just bigger and better than everyone else. It's almost
he looks set. He looks set in the NBA. Like, it looks like it suits him. Like, I mean, like when a player comes in the preseason, they don't really flow and they don't stand out. This guy just has it under control. He looked poised. He looked really good. I watched a few of his highlights and I was very impressed. And just to be able to cross players up and then reject, just unsuspecting the timing of that player, very, very good.
So there's a criticism that he doesn't get the boards enough for his height. Now, I think the crash and bash he will get used to.
Yeah.
But geez, his blocks, like his rim defense is just, it's ridiculous. It'd be interesting to see, because of what he is very much like, this is before both our times, but I've seen a lot of Will Chamberlain, who's just head and shoulders above. Not in terms of how good he's not. If he can be
Half
close
the
as
player.
good as Will Chamberlain, he's doing well. Just in terms of the physical difference.
Yeah.
A 7'4" dude who can move like a guard.
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain was bigger and stronger than everybody else. So you got to allow it for the time, but there's a physical advantage there for sure.
Oh yeah, when you're 7'4" and you can jump and shoot the way that guy and the handles that he has, it's very impressive.
But then there's Chet, who's gone to OKC, who what do I say? There's a soft following that I have for them. I think SGA, I actually thought he would be, first team All NBA, and he got it last year.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey, Australian boy, where we're from,
He's pretty good.
just knows how to work an offense.
Yeah.
And then with Chet joining in now, OKC, it might be, I'm touting them as one of the big improvers.
Well, remember when they had the big, not the big three, but they used to have Harden, Westbrook, and
Westbrook, and that was
unstoppable.
They were good, and then KD 3-1. They had Steph 3-1 down, that awesome Golden State side, and they lost. And KD went and joined the Warriors, and we lost a few years there because
I remember there was some great. I remember when the Clippers had Blake Griffin, CP3, and DeAndre Jordan. The OKC had those three. LeBron was playing it.
You had LeBron at this stage was at Cleveland.
Yep.
He just made that move from
and the Spurs.
Miami.
Remember the Spurs?
Well, if we're going back, so you had Miami, the big three, LeBron, Wade, Bosh. Then you had the Spurs with Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. But then you had Kawhi, who was emerging. Then you had OKC, the Baby Thunder, KD, Westbrook, Harden, Ibaka. And then you had the Warriors emerging. And then, LeBron went to the Cavs with Kyrie Irving. KD having the Warriors 3-1 down in a final to go in and then loses that final and then goes and joins them. It really made the game, pretty unfair.
Yeah. No, it very much did. So now tomorrow we've got the Nuggets and the Lakers. That's the first game. First cap off the rank.
Where are they playing it?
Let me have a look. Look, Denver's the first team.
So it will be at LA.
It's at Ball Arena. No, I reckon it's
so it will be
Denver.
It's okay. Yeah, well, they'd be unveiling the
championship.
No, the flag. So, look, you'd
be tipping the Nuggets.
It's a great one to start it off. Always put LeBron against. It's pretty easy money for viewerships. LeBron Lakers versus the champions. I think the Nuggets will
Take it
will
out.
get them done.
And what about the Warriors and the Suns? That sounds like so. Like, I hadn't been following heavily last year. I'd been following the years before, but knowing that KD has gone to the Suns, and then the Suns lost CP3.
Yep.
But who did you said they gained someone else?
Who was this?
The Suns.
Suns picked up Bradley Beal from the Wizards.
Yes, that was.
So,
and that's pretty good. That's arguably a very similar style of player to CP3.
Well, Bradley Beal, I mean, he was the franchise player at the Wizards. So, they've got a three-headed monster with, Devin Booker, KD, Beal. It's an interesting one.
Who's their centers?
So, Ayton has just left the Suns, and they've got Kirkic, if I'm saying that correctly.
Kirkic.
A lot more, not so much as a prima donna, not as much drama with him. And then, so it'll be an interesting one to see who wins this one.
Yep.
There's obviously the KD-Steph rivalry, as in terms of who's the better player because of their stints. But
who do you reckon? So I've always thought. So I this is just between you. This is not off stats. It's not off anything, but just based on the player and who they are. I would say Steph.
Yeah,
just based on the fact that he's arguably the best 3-point shooter.
He's not arguably. He's definitely the best, statistical shooter in the league.
Yeah.
Steph and KD for me
they're very different players.
They're very different players.
Very, very.
But it's an interesting one. So Steph and KD. So in terms of a team player, what he's done. So Steph has 4 championships.
Yep.
He was the leader of all 4 of those championships. KD was the best player on 2 of those, but Steph was the one getting double team and the threat and, was the heart and soul of that team. But he's only got the one finals MVP, and KD was definitely the best player in those finals against LeBron's Cavs. So I had KD above by then, but Steph then winning one before KD without KD, and then winning not last year, the year before without KD. It's hard to make an argument for KD because without Steph, KD hasn't won, while Steph has won either side.
Yeah, he's winning with or without. It seems like
correct.
You have Steph, you're and the guy can pass the ball. Like we were watching the highlights of his top. What was it?
He's top 35 plays,
which is just ridiculous. Go and give yourself a watch on that. The NBA have that. Just search that up. It's an absolute cracker. You will not be disappointed. Who do you reckon's getting up for that one, Johnny? Is it the Warriors or the Suns?
I'm going to go to the Suns. I just think... I'm sorry. I take that back. I'm going to take the Warriors. I think the Warriors have... As much as I think the Suns may go deeper...
Yep.
I think the Warriors, just for this moment, will get up. And my biggest problem with the Suns is... I guess they've lost that key playmaker. Yep. They've got 3 gunners. Who's going to organise it all? Yeah,
it's hard when you bring new players in. You don't get that, I guess that playmaker who's been there and established. It's kind of like Steph for the Warriors. He's that player.
But you got Steph, Clay, Draymond. They've been playing together for a very long time.
They know each other.
And...
That's a huge thing.
And then, absolutely, and that's why they've won 4 championships. Yeah. And they've beaten the likes of, LeBron, the Celtics. And CP3's played for multiple sides and has always... Though he hasn't won, but he's fitted in and each side has, gotten better with them there. He just 100%. Hasn't won.
He was with my beloved Clippers, so anyone who's watching, I do go for the Clippers. And I feel like if anyone follows the AFL, we're the... Essendon of the NBA, we get into the finals and we are the first to get out of the finals. So very rarely will you see us in the second or the third round after.
I don't think Essendon are that good, but
no, we won't get into footy.
The Clippers are a very interesting. So you've got
we've had over the course of me watching the NBA and watching the Clippers over the last probably 8 years, when I really got into basketball, we've had a lot of injuries. We just never have a good squad together that can just pull together and work together without them getting traded out. And it's just like, how can we... It's prime example, Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, so this is... So, yeah.
Paul George.
So the Clippers are... Well, they're the ugly cousin in LA, aren't they? They're in the basement next to their big brother, the Lakers, and they're not living up to it. So Kawhi, they sold...
At one stage, we were better than the Lakers. That was when Kobe was in, and it was great. It was good to see, but...
At the tail end, and then
Yes.
LeBron came in, and then Kawhi, after he won the championship with Toronto, beat the Warriors, they sold the farm for him.
Yeah.
He's been low managing ever since. I mean, if you look at anyone who's got 2 finals MVPs, you would arguably say, well, that guy, he's has to be a top 12 player in the NBA, but he just doesn't have the extra, I guess, regular seasons to back that up. He's been low managing all the time. Clearly, low managing doesn't work because I feel every time it gets to... Okay, so he had a really good series last year in the playoffs, but after 4 or 5 hard-fought games, he's out because his body's not used to the pressure.
Yeah.
Paul George is the same. The one that I hope they do well for is Russell Westbrook. He's a heart and soul player. He makes a lot of mistakes.
But I love Russell. I'm glad we picked him up, and I'm keen to see what that difference will bring in the team if they're all playing together. Because Paul George and Russell played together, didn't they?
Yeah.
OKC. Yeah. So they should realistically have some form of gel there. One would assume, but maybe not. I don't know how close.
So
their
they play.
relationship was,
I mean,
but-
Russ was very good at the tail end last year. He had a defensive, aspects of the game which he didn't have.
Yeah.
The Lakers really didn't play him well, playing him off the ball.
He didn't suit. I think
he's
what
not a
LeBron
shooting
wanted.
guard. He's not a
No.
shooter. He's not a shooter. He makes a lot of mistakes, but geez, he's a heart and soul player. He doesn't take games off.
No.
And in a league where the NBA, everyone takes, these guys get paid hundreds of $1 million and, rock up 60-70% of the day. At any other job, you get the ass.
Yeah.
You got to admire that. So for him, I would love them to go deep.
Yeah.
But they'll be dependent on
As
Kawhi.
I said, I'm not expecting too much out of it. But in terms of the conferences, I mean, we had a brief conversation. How strong do you reckon the East and West? Which one do you reckon is going to be the more predominant one?
I think the West is just far deeper. Do I think the teams in the West are better? That's a different argument. Well, you've got the Bucks and the Celtics. They're your two standouts, and they're the standouts every year. It doesn't matter where they finish; they're the ones going into it.
Yeah.
Then it's sort of you've got the 76ers with Embiid, but then Harden any day might not be there. Regardless, he fails in playoffs. Embiid fails in playoffs. And then you've got Cleveland, the Knicks. I should put respect on the Miami Heat. But again, you don't fear them. You don't fear them. But then let's go through the West. You've got the Nuggets. The Suns have all the firepower in the world. Any team with Steph Curry in this form, championship pedigree.
It's actually crazy. Sorry to cut you short. The caliber of players that are in the Western Conference, because you've got up and coming probably rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Wembley, we'll call him.
One Chet.
In the Spurs, and you've got the Suns. You've got the Thunder with Chet. You've got the Lakers. You've got Warriors. You've got the Nuggets. You've got the Mavericks. You've got basically, aside from obviously the Celtics and who was the other one, the Bucks in the Eastern Conference, which are arguably two of the they're two out of the three best teams in the league. You can make
an argument that they're exactly the two top favorites.
Two top favorites that would probably, but you look at that and you're like, the Western Conference is hard to try and crack into that top bit to get into the finals, versus you look at the depth of the Eastern Conference and you're like, you just know who's going to end up there.
And that's not to say these teams won't be good this year. We could be wrong. But there's just no fear.
No.
While you work through it, Nuggets, Suns are not Warriors, like we said. I'm not ever going to count out LeBron James and Anthony Davis just to cause damage.
Yeah.
Mavs are an
players with a lot of experience.
Correct. The Clippers cause some headaches.
No.
The Mavs just to cause some headaches. I fear them more than some of the sides in the West. The Mavs are an interesting one because I do reckon Luka's in the top handful of best players in the comp, but they just went and got Kyrie Irving, who I'm sick of hearing he's the most skillful player of all time, because his side's literally, since he thought he was better than LeBron or too big for LeBron, has literally failed consistently. Second round exit with the Celtics. First round exit with the Celtics.
I hope he can't.
With first one was with the Nets. And now he's gone to the Mavs, who were were the Western Conference finalists the year before, and then they didn't even make the play-in. He's either he's got this huge ego. He thinks he's an artist.
Yeah,
he's got this huge ego. He's protesting, taking days off, trying to save the spot out. Just play basketball, because you have not achieved anything since you've left LeBron, and you've got worse every year.
It's a good point. I hope he can come out and start swinging and play like he used to, and be the what do they call?
Hang on, he hasn't stopped playing like he has. His stats are still just as good. He's doing the same thing, but he plays a third of the year. Yeah, and it's a mentality thing.
That's what I mean. Like, if he can play consistently and be what's that thing that he does when he's an old man? He dresses up as an old man and he goes in and he plays basketball and he takes on all these young bloods.
Nate Robinson.
Yeah, he takes on all these young bloods. I really hope he can come out and really help Luka and the team there. But I mean, you look through the Eastern Conference. It's funny when you look through all the 15 squads and you look and you're like, gee, it's a very different landscape versus the amount of teams that are in the West. You've probably got a good 10 teams versus the Eastern Conference. But like we said, we could be so wrong, and you never know what everyone's doing over the draft. I'm excited to see what tomorrow's games bring.
Well, there's arguably could be your top four in the West, starting off with the Western Conference tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I just put myself on mute, but we love that.
I think we're signaling. I think he's signaling something there.
No, not at all. I think we've wrapped up. We had some talking points that we were going over, but I think, is there anything else you wanted to touch on? I know my predictions for tomorrow's game, I don't think the only thing I didn't say, look, I will definitely be going with the Nuggets. I don't think the Lakers are going to get over the old premiers of last year. Is it no, they don't call them premiers, do they? Champions. They call them the champions in the NBA.
That's a bit of to people in other countries. It's Australian football lingo. Yeah. That's what we call the
people who win the premiership.
We call it, every other sport is the defending champs.
Yeah, the champs. Yeah, reigning champs. I reckon the Nuggets are going to get up, and I definitely think the Warriors will come out. I reckon Steph will come out and splash. I did see that Draymond Green isn't playing, but I know he wasn't playing in the preseason when Steph caught fire in the last quarter and splashed some bombs. So
I think they're going to be. I think they've won enough games without Draymond. They can win, and yeah. I think you're right there.
Yep. So no, I reckon in terms of my prediction for the year, probably too early to say. I am going to give a bit of not a wild card. I reckon your Bucks, like you keep saying.
They're not a wild card. But
no, not a wild card. Sorry, that's probably, you're right. They're probably out of the top three.
I think they're favourites.
I love how I called it the wild card.
They're favourites. I reckon Vegas has them as favourites.
Yeah, right. I don't. Like you said, there's no other teams that really stand out. The Warriors are good, but I just don't think they're going to be able to match the Nuggets or the Celtics or the Bucks. I could be wrong. That would be my wild card. There's going to be a wild card. It'd either be the Warriors or
Warriors are the Lakers. They're your wild cards because they've got championship pedigree.
Who do you reckon? Who's your wild card? Do you have a wild card that you could throw in?
I would love...
Just a team you'd love to see.
I would love to see OKC at least get to the Western Conference Finals. Yep. I think they've got a good side. They're building correctly. Do
you have a wild card championship winner though?
Oh.
Could you take a stab outside the top 3 like we've said?
Oh, I think I'd love to put the Warriors in there, but how big a wild card? I wouldn't consider them a wild card because of championship pedigree. I mean, they only won it. I'm
not going to say like the Orlando Magic.
No. Well, if we want to put, let's see how good Wemby is.
The Spurs.
Can he do it? But if it was a wild card, I generally reckon OKC will be that side, or the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
But it's really going to be who versus the Nuggets.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, well, do you reckon we wrap this up? I reckon we're probably...
I think that was a good first episode. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If there is anything that you want us to talk about, sports-related or debate, please leave a comment, and please remember to press that subscribe button. Have a good night.
Awesome. See you guys. See you in the next one.